Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ishim, Rakah Kudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video. And I'm going to start off with some folly on RT.com titled Influenza. Instagram influencers post coronavirus photos in desperate bid to go viral. Influencers are known for making the most out of any and all new trends and challenges sweeping the globe. Now, however, these Instagram stars are posing in face masks to mine the coronavirus for all the clicks it's worth. With the virus spreading further every day, public interest around the world has continually ratcheted up. The coronavirus hashtag has become a trend on Instagram, and over 200,000 posts are using the tag have been uploaded to the social media platform. Some conscientious posters have sought to inform their followers about the disease. However, many have seized on it as another opportunity to cash in on some clicks. And you got these people having a good old time looking cute while this coronavirus spreads across the planet and has already killed 305 people in China. But hey, this spirit of folly is expected because the scriptures told us that people would be like this in these last days. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. And you can see how men are lovers of their own selves and covetous and boasters and proud on these social media platforms. Everything's about clout chasing nowadays. Everything's about getting the most followers and the most likes, especially by you Israelites or so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who go harder than these other nations clout chasing, trying to make a name for yourself. But it's all to not only your detriment, to the people across this entire planet, because very shortly, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to visit this planet with more plagues and famines and earthquakes in diverse places and race wars and civil wars and world wars, and ultimately those nuclear missiles to punish you people for your wickedness. This is Luke 6, verse 25. Woe or destruction unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. Woe to you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. This is 2 Esdras 8 and 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because men have walked in great pride, and have been lovers of them own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, disobedient to parents, and being confrontational towards the Most High. 2 Esdras 5 verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days shall come, that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Again, the Most High is only going to send more pestilences and famines and calamities on this planet as scourges for amendment to you wicked people. And my first example of this is an article from the economiccollapseblog.com titled, 4 plagues are marching across Asia simultaneously: coronavirus, African swine fever, H5N1 bird flu, and H1N1 swine flu. And the mainstream media only makes it seem like it's just the coronavirus out there. The coronavirus outbreak that is raging all over China right now has been making headlines on a daily basis all over the globe, and rightly so. At this point, we don't know if it will ultimately become a horrifyingly global pandemic that will affect tens of millions of people, but what we do know is that the virus spreads very easily and the number of cases has been rising at an exponential rate. Meanwhile, 3 other plagues have also been marching across Asia, and most people in the Western world don't even realize that this is happening. What I'm about to share with you in this article is quite chilling, and the months ahead will be very dark if these plagues continue to spread, and only expect not only these plagues, but other plagues to spread across this planet to take you people off in great numbers. Long before we ever heard of this new coronavirus, African swine fever was devastating pork farms from one end of China to the other. There is no vaccine for pig Ebola, there is no cure, and once it hits a farm, the only thing that can be done is to kill every single pig so that it won't spread anywhere else. But even though draconian measures have been implemented, it has just kept spreading, and at this point, about 2/3 of China's swine herd has been lost. Video of people fighting over pork at Chinese meat counters will likely become more common as the fallout from the African swine fever outbreak in China progresses. And that reminds me of 2 Esdras chapter 15, where it says, "For lack of bread, men shall invade their own neighbors and break into their houses and spoil them of their goods." Brett Stewart, president of the market research and analysis firm Global Agritrends, estimates that about 2/3 of China's swine herd has been lost to the disease, and contrary to official government reports of recovery, more pigs are dying every day as ASF continues to spread. Prior to this crisis, approximately half of all the pigs in the entire world lived in China, and they would usually slaughter about 700 million a year, but now production has absolutely plummeted, and this is driving pork prices in China through the roof, and everything works in a vicious circle. These pestilences killing off these animals is going to lead to these famines, which is going to further kill off people. In China itself, pork prices are at an all-time high at just under $300 per hundredweight, and the country outbids Japan, which is usually the top bidder. Food inflation is soaring, and some Chinese people have been unable to buy pork in just 6 months. Unfortunately, this insidious disease has also been devastating farms in many other nations all over the planet. In particular, Cambodia, North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, and the Philippines have been hit particularly hard. And I did a video on my other page during the summer on the African swine fever, and I used an article which talked about how there have been some cases of it even hitting Europe. It has been estimated that 1 out of every 4 pigs in the entire world has already died, and this crisis is far from over. Fortunately, African swine fever does not affect humans, but this new coronavirus seems perfectly suited to be transmitted from person to person. Johns Hopkins has put up a map that is continually updated, and according to the latest official numbers, there are now 14,637 cases, and the death toll has risen to 305. But by the time you read this article, those numbers are likely to be even higher. Of course, many are extremely skeptical that the official numbers coming out of China are accurate, and this is something that I have written about repeatedly. There have been multiple reports that indicate that China has been falsely categorizing the deaths of many of the victims to keep the death toll down, and it is also suspicious that so many corpses are being taken directly to the crematorium. Radio Free Asia has tweeted a disturbing video on its Twitter account on Saturday morning detailing how those who died of coronavirus in Wuhan, the outbreak area in China, were loaded up on a bus and taken directly to the crematorium. RAF said, latest situation of Wuhan 5th Hospital. Some Wuhan citizens entered Wuhan 5th Hospital on February 1st and found many patients who died of pneumonia. The corpses were packed directly to the crematorium. Paramedics are busy rescuing the dying patient. RFA's Video is in the line with our report from Friday that said those who died of the deadly virus were hauled off to a crematorium in Wuhan by Chinese authorities. At this point, we don't know how bad this outbreak will ultimately become, but we do know that the very first death outside of China has now been confirmed. The Philippine Department of Health said a 44-year-old Chinese man from Wuhan was admitted on January 25th after experiencing a fever, cough, and sore throat. He developed severe pneumonia, and in his last few days, the patient was stable and showed signs of improvement. However, the condition of the patient deteriorated within his last 24 hours, resulting in his demise. The man's 38-year-old female companion, also from Wuhan, also tested positive for the virus and remains in hospital isolation in Manila. But wait, there's more. Meanwhile, there's been a very alarming resurgence of H5N1 bird flu in China. According to the Daily Mail, more than 17,000 chickens have been culled in an effort to keep this new outbreak from spreading further. China has reportedly seen an outbreak of the highly pathogenic strain of H5N1 bird flu, which has already killed 4,500 chickens. The outbreak was initially reported at a farm in Shaoyang City in the southern province of Hunan, south of the epicenter of the coronavirus in Wuhan. According to the Reuters report, Chinese authorities have already culled 17,828 poultry in the wake of the outbreak. Unlike African swine fever, humans can be infected by the H5N1 bird flu. And according to the World Health Organization, the mortality rate for human cases is approximately 60%. So let us hope that this current outbreak remains limited to chickens. Alarmingly, the H5N1 bird flu has also popped up at a facility in India. Authorities in an eastern Indian state will start culling chickens and destroying eggs from Tuesday to contain a bird flu virus of the H5N1 strain, a government statement said on Monday. The samples collected from a poultry breeding and research farm of a veterinary college in Odisha state tested positive, the statement said. We haven't heard much about the H5N1 bird flu in recent years, but this is an extremely deadly case, and so we will want to monitor these developments very carefully. On top of everything else, the H1N1 swine flu is starting to spread once again. In fact, more than 100,000 people in Taiwan sought medical treatment for flu-like symptoms at hospitals across the country over the past week, and there have been 13 confirmed deaths. At a time when the world is panicking over 2019 nCoV coronavirus outbreak, the H1N1 flu virus is actually posing a greater threat in Taiwan, claiming 13 lives in the country in just 1 week, according to the Centers for Disease Control. At a weekly meeting on Friday, CDC Deputy Director General Chang Jin-Hisheng said 705,000 people sought medical treatment for flu-like symptoms at hospitals across the country over the past week, including 61 more confirmed flu cases. Not too long ago, the H1N1 swine flu caused mass panic all over the globe, and I personally knew someone that was killed by it. So the truth is that all these outbreaks are very concerning. And never before have we seen so many alarming outbreaks occur simultaneously. Could it be possible that we have entered a period of time when mass pandemics are going to become the new normal? And the author of this article hit the nail on the head. We're living in the last seconds of these last days when Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is visiting this world for its wickedness and beginning to take away these people in mass numbers. That's it with this article. This is Matthew 24. I'm going to read verse 7 through 8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, your swine flus, your bird flus, your coronavirus, your African swine fever, which not only infect people and kill them off, but kill off animals that are infected by it and lead to the famines, which will further kill off people, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. You people haven't seen nothing yet. It's only going to get worse from here on out. Now I'm going to go to my second article, also on the economiccollapseblog.com, titled, "A Plague of Billions of Locusts Threaten to Create a Horrific End Times Famine All Over Africa. Famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places, but all these are just the beginning of sorrows." Billions of locusts are eating everything in sight in East Africa right now, and every single day, many more farms are being completely wiped out. And best believe that while it is punishment on you people for being wicked, it's especially punishment on 2/3 of you Israelites for being hard-headed and not coming back to your power, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, because there is a GMS camp in East Africa, in Tanzania, GMS Tanzania 144, and this brother's preaching the same message we're preaching: death, destruction, famine, pestilences, race wars, civil wars, world wars, you name it. So to you Israelites in East Africa, you have no cloak for your maliciousness because you've heard the word of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. And as it says in one of my favorite precepts in Matthew 24, verse 14, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." And you can clearly see that this end is manifesting right before our eyes. Billions of locusts are eating everything in sight in East Africa right now, and every single day, many more farms are being completely wiped out. Unfortunately, authorities are telling us that what we have seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg, the beginning of sorrows. In fact, if extreme measures are not implemented immediately, authorities are claiming that this locust plague could literally get 500 times worse in a few months. But it's difficult to imagine conditions getting any worse than they are at this moment. Ravenous locust swarms that are the size of cities are consuming crops at a staggering pace, and this could potentially cause famine on the African continent that is unlike anything we have ever seen before. It can be difficult to imagine a plague of billions of locusts. After all, there are about 7 billion people living on the entire planet. But this is actually happening. Right now, billions of locusts are absolutely devastating East Africa, and each one can eat its own weight in food every day. Salakia. Billions of locusts swarming through East Africa could prove disastrous for a region still reeling from drought and deadly floods, experts have warned, amid increasing calls for international help. Dense clouds of the ravenous insects, each of which consumes its own weight in food every day, have spread from Ethiopia and Somalia into Kenya in the region's worst infestation in decades. It would be hard to overstate what this is going to mean for the region. According to the FAO, this plague is an unprecedented threat to food security and livelihoods in the Horn of Africa. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has described the situation as extremely alarming, representing an unprecedented threat to food security and livelihoods in the Horn of Africa. We have seen starvation in Africa before. In fact, there was a time when our airwaves were filled with images of starving African children. But if this plague continues to get even worse, the stage is being set for a famine that is far greater than anything that any of us have ever witnessed. And remember, in the United States, you had those historic floods and storms that ruined a lot of farmers' crops during the middle part of 2019 and the summer of 2019. And then in October, you had those blizzards that ruined even more crops of farmers in the Midwest. The density of some of these locust swarms is absolutely crazy. According to officials, a single locust swarm can have up to 150 million locusts per square kilometer. A typical desert locust swarm can contain up to 150 billion locusts per square kilometer. The East African Regional Body, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, has said swarms migrate with the wind and can cover 62 to 93 miles in a day. An average swarm can destroy as many food crops in a day as is sufficient to feed 2,500 people. And it is important to note that some of these swarms are many times that size. In fact, one of the largest swarms in northeastern Kenya has measured to be 60 kilometers long by 40 kilometers wide. In other words, that swarm was far larger than any major city on the entire planet. Spraying these locusts only has limited effectiveness, but it is one of the only things that can be done at this point. Unfortunately, Kenya only has 4 planes currently flying, and the same goes for Ethiopia. The UN is going to step in with $10 million of additional funding, but that won't really go too far. The UN on Wednesday allocated $10 million for aerial spraying, with humanitarian chief Mark Lowcock saying families across the region now face the prospect of watching as their crops are destroyed before their eyes. And there have also been reports of locust swarms destroying farmlands in India as well, among this uptick in bird flu over there. The truly frightening part of this story is that we are being told that the worst is yet to come. If you can believe it, and I know that this sounds absolutely nuts, but UN officials are actually warning that this plague of locusts could get 500 times larger when warmer weather arrives. When rain arrives in March and brings new vegetation across much of the region, the numbers of the fast-breeding locusts could grow 500 times before drier weather in June curbs their spread, the United Nations says. And if what the UN is telling us is accurate, and I have no reason to believe that it isn't, then Africa is facing a nightmare of almost unbelievable proportions. Yes, I keep warning that the perfect storm is here, but the scale of the plague that Africa is potentially facing is very hard to imagine. With hundreds of billions of locusts potentially eating crops all across Africa, what will be left for people to eat? That's it with this article. Let's get back to some precepts. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to start at 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? You better hope you're an Israelite of the elect and have that protective hedge of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai over you, because that's going to be the only thing that's going to save you from these coming terrible calamities of Jacob's trouble. Behold, famine, massive numbers of pigs and chickens dying off, locusts eating up farmlands in Africa and India, and plague, coronavirus, bird flu, swine flu, etc., etc. Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. For men shall be proud, blasphemers, covetous, and lovers of their own selves. Here you have all these different calamities going on across the planet, but the majority of you people are still fucking off and going about your daily lives as usual, especially in America. Using any situation you can, no matter how tasteful or crass, for clout chasing on Instagram, showing how unmindful you people are of the scourges for amendment. Verse 21, behold, victuals, your creature comforts, the food at these supermarkets, your PlayStations, relatively cheap oil, Netflix, Instagram, shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Just because right now you can go to the supermarket to get food or post ass pictures on Instagram, you think everything's all right and it's going to be like this forever. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. The Most High is going to catch you people out here like a thief in the night. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. These race wars, civil wars, and this nuclear-armed World War III. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. There's going to be so much death, destruction, and misery in that day that a dead body is going to be nothing to you. You're going to care about that dead body as much as you care about that shit you flushed down the toilet. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. Think about that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. He was the only man in that city, so the vegetation started to grow up and take over the city. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. In that day the Most High shall take many off the face of the earth. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. Right now, the majority of these people out here are antisocial and don't want to deal with people in real life. But because of all this death and destruction, you're going to be aching to find somebody else just to know that you're not the only one left. So, Akim, right now, spend this time of liberty to drink from these rivers of living waters while you still can, and get as much knowledge as you can so you won't be caught out here like a chicken with your head cut off when all these calamities really begin to fall the earth, and you regret not getting this truth while you could, and you'll have to take whatever comes your way during Jacob's trouble. And to the rest of you people out there, you can't say we didn't warn you, because the men of the Lord have been out here for more than 30 years preaching this word, preaching of nothing but lamentations, mournings, and woes to come. Close it out in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say to me unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, which the men of the Lord, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, are doing, going out there on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, that he may run that readeth it. The elect that hear this message, they know the signs of the times and know what they need to do to get back into the good graces of their power, Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, so they can possibly have that protective hedge over them to protect them from these coming calamities. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And as we can see, these things are not tarrying, they're quickly coming to pass. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.